Now, when boy George Osborne first claimed with a straight face and a chunk of inherited wealth tucked safely in his bank account that we are, quote, all in this together, we were surprised. Not that he'd pinched the phrase from a song and dance routine in High School Musical. Oh, by the way, thank the Lord for Wikipedia for that fact. But we did doubt the government's commitment to squeeze benefits until the pip squeaked. But with the introduction of personal independence payments, so-called PIPs, and the scrapping of the disability living allowance, that's exactly what many people now fear. So we turned to actress and comedian Francesca Martinez and asked her to put society's attitude towards disabled people in this week's Spotlight.
I've got cerebral palsy, but I call myself wobbly because I think that we stand more positive names for conditions. Like instead of schizophrenic, why don't we just say overly imaginative? And mentally retarded? Jeremy Clarkson. As a wobbly person, I'm very worried about the planned benefit reforms, and disabled people everywhere are feeling the fear that their benefits, which go towards basic costs, will soon be taken away. The government claim it's all about making the system work better for those in need, but they also claim that they have to cut their budget by 20%, revealing their true motive, kicking 500,000 people off benefits. All of this talk of us being a drain on society confirms the stereotype that we're simply a burden, and public attitudes are hardening, with disability hate crime up 75%, and it's not a coincidence. Anyone can become disabled, and that's why we all need to fight these reforms. If the government continues to target the most vulnerable, there are many more people like me who will take a stand, even if it is a wobbly one.
And Francesca Martinez joins us now. Welcome to This Week.
Thank you.
I'm interested you say that public attitudes are hardening towards disabled people, because, I mean, certainly in my lifetime, I've seen a revolution in attitudes towards disabled people. And not just in what has been provided and new rights conferred that they should have had, but they have a voice as never before too.
Well, they're still largely invisible in the media, and also those hard-won rights that you're speaking about are much appreciated, but that's why we're here, because we're worried that those rights are being taken away by this government.
Do you think, Michael, that there's a hardening in tough times? There's a crackdown on welfare, that there's less sympathy?
No, I haven't detected that change in attitude. I would have said the same as you, that I've seen a revolution in the attitude in a positive sense. But what I think there is a problem with is that the public believes that there are many people claiming disability benefits who are not really disabled, and I think that's probably the government's view as well. And I would have thought that disabled people would want to be very vigilant and would want to be, you know, at least as concerned about that as the government.
I'd like to contest both points. The first point is disability hate crime is up by 75%, which really backs up the notion that attitudes are hardening. Also, fraudulent claims of disability benefit are 0.5%, which is the smallest out of all the benefits. So really that puts your assertion that there are people claiming this who don't need it, it really puts that into the negative.
Saying fraudulent claims is putting it very strongly. I mean, what I hope Jackie might agree with me is that governments of both parties over a very long period of time have found it rather convenient to disguise unemployment as disability. So in other words, people that they think are long-term unemployed, they kind of steer towards disability benefits because they're not then on the unemployment count. So actually, many politicians have been complicit in this. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people who receive disability benefits are not, as you and I would understand them, disabled.
Well, again, I dispute that. Even now, with the benefit in place, nearly half of all disabled people live in poverty. 4 in 10 disabled children live in poverty. These are astounding figures for a first world country, and they certainly don't reflect your view that, disabled people have it easy. I've been researching this
that wasn't my view.
a lot.
He didn't say that.
Well, you're certainly making a claim that there are lots of people out there who are claiming disability benefits who don't need them. In my experience, people use DLA to cover the most basic costs. We're talking about getting around, feeding themselves, cleaning themselves, hiring care. They're not in Marbella on the beach sunbathing.
Let me ask Jack, where are you on this?
In my experience, the only way in which you overcome a discrimination against you is for those people who are discriminated against to have a voice and to speak up against it. And that, I think, is why progress has and I agree, progress has been made on rights for disabled people. What has been very interesting about the campaign in the last couple of weeks is that the use of social media has enabled disabled people to bring their voices together and to campaign in a way that I certainly haven't seen for some time. And that, I think, impacted on the House of Lords. It's part of the reason why there have been 4 defeats inflicted on the government over the welfare reform bill. And it's only by people having the sort of voice that we're hearing this evening that change happens.
Well, social media has allowed that to happen.
Exactly.
Because many disabled people can't go out and engage in public debate very easily.
So it's a huge asset.
Yes, and the people behind the Spartacus report have done incredibly well, but I think it's a real sad indictment that people who are sick and who are carers are having to put so much time and energy into defending their basic human rights. And I'm picking up on what you said before.
Just briefly, because we are almost at the end.
This financial crisis we're in was caused by a very elite few at the top, and once again the vulnerable in society are being made to pay for the greed of those at the top. So I think really the government is morally disabled.
All right, we're going to leave it there. We thank you for coming on tonight, Francesca.